we're going to do now, Gemma, is do your assess your static posture. So this is going to give us an idea of basically the positioning of your body when it's in a upright, relaxed, and standstill state. So first of all, I'm going to get you to just, we've got this line coming down in front of us here, and we just want to make sure that you're centre to it. So that's looking fairly good. Great, so what I'll get you to do is just move on the spot a little bit just to loosen up, relax, and make sure everything gets in the right spot, and then just settle back down into that position. Perfect. So your head, I think, is sort of looking that way a bit, so just, can you just shuffle that way? Okay, you were coming on like this. Yeah. Alright, so what we're going to look at here, you're facing me with the anterior view. Making sure it's filling. The anterior view. So you're looking at me. So what we're going to do here is just have a look at, see if there's any imbalances. So what I can see here is that your left shoulder is actually slightly elevated, and your right hip is also slightly elevated. So we've got a little bit of an elevation and a slight tilt, and a slight tilt with your neck. So that's okay, no worries at all, which basically indicates that we're just a little bit lopsided. So what we'll do is I'll just get you to then rotate facing that wall, and what we're going to look here is your side-on view, your coronal view I should say, and that's all looking fantastic. So then I'll get you to spin around and face the mirror. Excellent. So we're still seeing the same thing, obviously. We're seeing a bit of elevation in the left shoulder and a little bit of elevation in the right hip. So we'll get you to rotate again back towards the other wall. Come forward just a little bit, so we're back in that line. And that's looking perfect as well. Excellent. So if you want to just face me. So what I've got here is I've noted you've got elevation in your left shoulder, a little bit of an elevation in your right hip. So what that's indicative of is, if I take a little bit of feedback on here, as you can see, your left shoulder is slightly elevated, which means that you've probably got a bit of tightness through your, what we call the trapezius. So that's just basically these neck muscles here. And your right hip also looks slightly elevated too, and it looks as though it might be pulling on the ITB. So your ITB might be quite tight. So that's the iliotibial band and the iliotibial band that runs down the side of our leg. So what I would suggest for you, because everything looks fantastic, I would suggest for that elevated shoulder, I would, stretching, we'd be looking at getting your trapezius. A bit of a stretch. So we can do that in any, we've got our stationary neck stretches, or we can also look at doing some dynamic stretching as well if it really needed it. In terms of strengthening, I'd probably look at strengthening your scapula, because what happens too is when your trapezius tightens up, everything lifts and you kind of hunch a little bit. So we're kind of like, maybe if we can get some strength back in between your scapulas. And there's many different ways we can do that. We can do exercises where we do like a bent over row and pulling back like this, or a seated row. We can even get you doing some TheraBands back up in this position to kind of straighten everything out. And then when we look at your pelvis, the slight lift, the slight tilt, the stretching, we look at the ITB band. Strengthening, it's not so much about the strength, it's more just about getting that loosened out. So at this stage, I wouldn't suggest you to get a referral, but that's something that can always be monitored. So great job, thanks Gemma.